What's up, fantasy football universe? It is SC Romero, and I am here to bring you another episode of the Devy Diamonds. And today we're going to dive into a promising freshman prospect from last year entering into his sophomore season at USC. That is wide receiver Zachariah Branch on this episode of the Devy Diamonds. What's up, FFU? Again, I am SC Romero here to bring you some Devy Diamonds. You can follow me on X at the PPR Show. Don't forget to follow the Fantasy Football Universe at DFF Universe and follow all my guys down there. You see our X handles there as well: Jesse Moeller, Aaron St. Dennis, and Jeremy Solman. But again, Devy Diamonds, we're going to talk about some promising prospects. And today we're talking about USC wide receivers Zachariah Branch. Now, he was a very good prospect coming out as a freshman last year out of Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're not aware of what Bishop Gorman High School is, take a look, man. They produce some studs. They always have some great athletes coming out of there. One of the top schools in Nevada, if not really the top school in Nevada. Just a phenomenal program that they have there. Anyways, he was a five-star prospect coming out. A lot of people had him as the wide receiver one just of that class as well. Just a great overall natural stud. Last season in his freshman year, he caught 65.9% of his passes, which is amazing. That's 31 receptions on 47 targets. And those 31 receptions became 320 yards. Now, the downfall is fellow wide receiver, or I should say receiver, because he was scouted as a tight end and then came out to become a wide receiver, played wide receiver as well. But that's going to be his fellow teammate, Deuce Robinson, did outproduce him in terms of yardage and on fewer receptions. So a little concerned there. Didn't really expect him to, have that freshman breakout season, even though Caleb Williams was his quarterback, but the wide receiver room in USC at that time was very stacked, had a lot of athletes there, a lot of them now in the pros, if you will, some even transferred out, things like that. But this year going in, he has an opportunity to be the de facto wide receiver one for the USC Trojans. Now, they're going to go over, they're going to go over a change, if you will. They no longer have the number one overall quarterback prospect in Caleb Williams. Now they're going to be with what it's looking like is possibly quarterback Miller Moss. So there's a lot of things that could go on to see. We did see a little bit of Miller Moss last season. He had 70.8% completion in the games that he did play for 681 yards. He looked okay. Is he Caleb Williams? Definitely not. So there's going to be a transition to be made. But with that, you want a reliable receiver, and insert Zachariah Branch. That's where he comes in. This kid has explosive speed. He just possesses that elite speed that allows him to consistently outrun the defenders, gain that separation, and then create even deep routes. Just be that stretch wide receiver. He could kind of do it all early on in his scouting process when he was in high school. People were comparing him to Tyreek Hill. That's pretty phenomenal. That just shows the speed that he has, though, that what he can do. Has great acceleration, from the stop to the go to everything in between. He really knows how to get off the line very quickly, which is something you do want to see, especially in those like press cover situations. He can get out very, very quickly, which is great. Also has that yak ability. Yeah, when I say yak, yards after catch. So once he gets the ball in his hands, he knows what to do to get those yards after and continue to move the chains for his team as well. Route running, smooth, crisp, very agile. He's just a disciplined runner overall. Contains direction very smoothly, just very efficiently for it. He's versatile too. He could really line up anywhere. He could be your X, he could be your slot, he could be whatever you need him to be. He could even it's because of his speed. He could even be the guy that, those in and around routes, those running plays where you have to factor him in and get those trick plays in, if you will, which is great. Plus, he has a good catch radius. He just has reliable hands, so he knows what he needs to put his hand-eye coordination to catch those balls is phenomenal. Again, something that can create that wide receiver run role for him, something he can be. His awareness is great. He knows how to find the open coverage. He's looking back at his quarterback to see where his quarterback needs him to be if the play is being extended. He knows the plays. He can find that soft coverage in the zone coverage. He can get that separation on the defense if he knows, oh, these guys are coming this way. I'm gonna move this way. Everything in between is great about him. Just his overall IQ for the game. Now, some areas of improvement possibly for him: his size. I say size, but not really. I mean, because we're seeing guys get smaller and smaller, but they're just being more effective in their route tree, or maybe with their speed, or they're gaining separation, or they just have phenomenal hands. But anyways, about 5'10", 175. So he is a little bit smaller than your prototypical wide receiver that you want, but in today's game it might be good. He just may struggle against some of your bigger defensive backs there, so that goes into his physicality. He can win the contested catch, don't get me wrong, but again, against your bigger, more physical defenders, that may be something where he's not really doing that, and that could be a concern for some. I don't know. His blocking, he can pick up some blocks, but because of his smaller frame, he's not really going out there and just moving the chains with his blocks or anything like that. He'll get it in for a second just to get the lane open, but again, the bigger defenders can kind of tower over him. And experience, we just want to see it. He looked great in high school, coming out as a freshman. Now let's see it. Last season, Branch saw the 6th most snaps when it came to the wide receiver room. So he was definitely down on that depth chart for him. This season, again, he could go in there and be the de facto wide receiver 1 for the USC Trojans, which is what we want to see. We want to see exactly what this kid can do. Let's put him in the offense. He can definitely go on a tear, and he could definitely rise a lot of Devy boards just by having a phenomenal season. And again, being that a lot of it could depend on the quarterback. What does Miller Ross come out here and do? Does he actually exuberate that quarterback neediness that the wide receivers need? Is that going to happen? I don't know. A lot of times, though, when it comes to talent like this, yes, it matters what the receptions they get, the yards they get, all that kind of stuff. Those stats matter. But again, watch him play, even if Miller Moss isn't the quarterback we want or that Zachariah Branch needs. Watch the way Zachariah Branch does. Is he getting open? Is he getting that separation? Especially with USC going to the Big Ten now. Are they doing these little things to make sure that he's still a valued wide receiver? Okay. Now, draft stock. He'll be eligible in 2026. So he's skipping this year. He'll be eligible to go out in 2026. Assuming he's on the trajectory that we had him, coming out as a freshman, he should be a first-round prospect. He should be going in the first round, one of the top wide receivers in that class, potentially, right? A lot of things can change here. But with that, I would love to see him in Las Vegas. I think that would be a great fit for him. It's hard predicting what will happen in 2 years from now. But let's assume Davante Adams is no longer there. Or let's assume he is, but he's still getting older. Jacoby Myers is there, very solid wide receiver too. Now you have Brock Bowers, and then you also have dropping the name Michael Mayer, right? So you have those guys as your weapons. Putting in a guy like Zachariah Branch to potentially learn behind Davante Adams, or not even. Let's just say Davante Adams doesn't leave. Well, now they need a de facto wide receiver 1. So now you have this fast guy that can spread the offense, but also catch underneath routes and just get yards after the catch as well. That will benefit well. And let's assume that they get, I mentioned earlier, maybe Carson Baker, Quinn Ewers, with that team next year. So now they have a quarterback, and now they need a wide receiver to be their one there. So I think the Raiders would be a great fit for them. That's assuming the Raiders are our top pick. I think he can be as early as like a top 15 overall draft prospect. We'll see. A lot can change again. They have some good linebackers coming out that class as well. They have some good quarterbacks coming out that class as well. We saw 6 quarterbacks come this past draft. Not that I'm saying 6 will go in 2026, but there will be some good quarterbacks in that class also. So Branch brings that speed. He brings that versatility. They could really plug and play him everywhere. So he doesn't need to be the de facto wide receiver 1 out the gate, but he can definitely be there. And they can also be like, hey, we're going to put you in the slot right now. We're going to make you a wide receiver 2 to be on the side of Davante, whatever it may be, or between Davante and Jacoby. Assuming both those guys are there going into that 2026 season, hey, you're going to run this slot for us, and we're actually going to pivot and move Brock Bowers into our tight end room and not necessarily put him in the slot, which is what some of us assume they're going to do with Brock Bowers this season. But a lot of things could change. I think that would be a great fit for him. Again, he has the opportunity to be there. I don't want to see him necessarily get buried. In the NFL, everyone's fast. So the speed's good, but everyone's fast. So it doesn't really move. It shouldn't move the needle as quickly as it does to some. But he needs to learn. He needs to get better, just precisely on his route running. Become a little bit more physical when it comes to the ball as well. When it comes to catching the ball, a lot of things he can still learn, but he still has 2 years of college to do that. So there's still a good trajectory. He's on the up of the trajectory. He didn't do anything to say, okay, we're moving down, but more receivers are coming in. The tides are shifting, going to a new conference now. So there are some things that could possibly move him down a little bit now, but he's on the right trajectory right now as far as moving up. Fantasy impact. I think he could be a top receiver for you. He could definitely go in and be one of your low end wide receiver ones potentially, but he's probably more of a high wide receiver two in the NFL prospect or as far as fantasy production. He just again can do it all. So he's someone that when I looked at him, again, I said Tyreek Hill earlier, but Deshaun Jackson, think of it like that, where he could be a special teams punt returner, kick returner, get you some points like that, depending on your league scoring. But then he can also be a wide receiver that just stretches the field, and with the right quarterback, can have that connection to have a top, 10 season potentially. That's something I think he could do. But again, hopefully he gains a little bit more weight. He could definitely be more beneficial in that sense. But if he doesn't, that's where I kind of see it with Deshaun Jackson. So there was a time in Deshaun Jackson's career where he was boom or bust. That could potentially be a Zachariah Branch as well. But again, there is more upside with Booms because that speed and his ability to create yards after the catch as well. Overall, Zachariah Branch is a great prospect to have on your radars. Again, should be the de facto wide receiver one going into USC this season in the Big Ten. I'm excited to see what happens with him as well as with Deuce Robinson this season. But either way, Zachariah Branch, USC wide receiver, he should be on your radars. And that's all I have for you today. Again, my name is SC Romero. Follow me on X at the PPR Show. Follow the Fantasy Football Universe at the FF Universe. Don't forget to click that like button, subscribe to our channel. We have tons of video content coming out, and check out our website, thefantasyfootballuniverse.com, where we have tons of great things going on there as well. Until next time, again, SC Romero at the PPR Show. This is the Devy Diamonds. Peace.